election for the Independence City Council for Monday, February 14th, 2022. Happy Valentine's Day on the most romantic day of the week, Monday. So we have two presentations this evening. The first is the Back to Basics CityWorks update. Mr. City Manager.
Yes, Madam Mayor, members of the council, good evening. A couple of months ago, we presented to the council our concept for making certain that we were providing you with regular updates in the community about some of the more fundamental, basic city services and our ability to respond to those. We want to make that a regular part of our rotation for you. So being here in the first quarter of the year, Assistant to the City Manager, Samantha Morris, will be giving you an update on that program.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, my name is Sam Morris with the City Manager's Office. Like Mr. Walker stated, I am going to provide you guys a Back to Basics update tonight. First and foremost, with our strategic plan, this was the foundation of why we built the Back to Basics. And again, you guys extended that to 2022 to 2026. So what is our target? Within the strategic plan, there are goals and objectives that we want to accomplish throughout the time period that's been provided. And so our target being these four: implement a better process that tracks and responds to our citizens, all frontline employees completing some customer service training, use social media to better communicate with our citizens, and use new methods and technology to reach all internal and external audiences. So with those four targets, we wanted to make sure that our Back to Basics was covering each of those. So in November, I came to you and I presented the idea of Back to Basics and how we were going to get it off of the ground and running. And so this is basically an overview of 90 days. We have added some categories for tracking purposes. We found that citizens were calling in for very specific reasons that we were not tracking. And so we wanted to make sure that we were grabbing those as much as we possibly could. And we also wanted to provide ease of submission to our citizens. So within the app, the In-Depth Now app, we wanted to make sure that citizens were not having to go through trying to figure out and find something and then give up if they couldn't find the correct category. So we added, for ease of submission, several different categories within there. Ms. DeLucci requested that we offer the option of being able to not have to have an address to be able to add as a service request. And so what we've done is we've created a pin drop option, which will allow you to use an arrow within that app to exactly identify where you are located. It also allows you to expand the map now and pinpoint the exact location that you're at. If for some reason that location feature is not working, you can actually tell us what side of the road you're looking on or where this particular pothole is. We also added a customer survey that was brought up by Councilmember Hobart. And as of right now, we are providing this. We're sending this out via email if one was provided up to 24 hours after the closure of that particular service request. It offers a 5-star rating, but pending what that rating is, which we've our tech services department has added codes behind there that pending whatever star rating they've provided us, they're also prompted to give us a response back. So if it is a 2-star or a 1-star, it prompts them to give us some feedback as to why they felt as though that particular service request deserved that rating. Otherwise, if they give us a 4 or a 5, then we ask them what about this process was easy for you? What did you like most about it? The geocode button is something that we've created within the system. It also allows us to be able to assign a district to it, so that way in tracking purposes and comparing purposes, we're able to see exactly where that's at and no longer rely on the employee and or the citizen who's entering it to assign the district. They may be out of their district and not know which one they're in, so the system will automatically do that for us. And then you'll also notice on my next slide, there were a lot of categories that were duplicates. So we had community development, neighborhood services, but then we also had community development, neighborhood serve. And it was due to past software systems that we were trying to combine together. So we did, over the last 90 days, a tremendous amount of trying to clean up this system. As a reminder, this is what that report looks like. So I just did January 1st of 2022 through February 7th of 2022 for a total of 839 brand new service requests. So our neighborhood services is still seeing a tremendous increase. They're currently sitting at 60.5%. And then based off of our last snow event, we have 15% being under our street maintenance. The report itself also breaks down and gives us the top 5 problem descriptions for the service request within the time frame that we run. So for this particular one, I wanted to make sure that we were able to see that 4th one there being snow and ice and or road surface concerns. So those were a total of 48 concerns that had come in. And of course, we had that corridor code enforcement being number 1 at 165 concerns. It also breaks it down by district there, as you can see with the graph, and then it breaks it down into the top 3 options within, concerns within each district. Again, as Councilmember Hobart had requested, we did have some great customer satisfaction. They loved that they were able to submit those pictures, that they felt as though the speed was great. It was a quick response. We definitely received some feedback that we're able to use over the course of the next 90 days to be able to fix. We've got some software issues that came through where individuals were not receiving the updates as quickly as what they had hoped to, or they were confused as to why one had been closed when the pothole itself or whatever the concern wasn't actually fixed. And there are reasons behind that, and now we just need to figure out how to communicate those to our citizens. And that is your quarter update.
Okay.
You have any questions?
Comments or questions from the council?
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Do you have, off the top of your head, know how many people responded? Like what percentage of people actually answered the survey compared to how many claims there were?
So since
reports?
implementing it, we didn't have a tremendous amount, although I can tell you that we didn't have it live for the full 90 days. So I believe there was I would feel comfortable in stating there was about 40 responses.
Out of how many complaints do you think, or how many reports?
Since January, well, it was live in January of this year, and from January to now, we had 1,064 SRs.
Okay.
So we're not, yeah.
Okay, appreciate it.
Oh, Sam, so I have a couple questions. I use the app a lot. I try to encourage people to use it. And, you know, I think it really works well. And I also like, you know, now the council can just send an email if we have concerns to one email address, and then it gets routed to the appropriate department, so we're not taking up staff time and for us to figure out who this should be going to. So I think that all that's great. I am curious about the way that you capture this and report it to the departments and to the council. Is that the way it looks to the citizens? Because, I mean, we can fall into using kind of jargon that the citizens may not, isn't intuitive to them, would not be intuitive to me. Like, does corridor code enforcement, are those things that are specifically in the public right-of-way, not on private property? How is that defined?
Right, so within our app, we have specified and we have categorized it in a different format
Okay.
for the citizens to be able to easily find exactly what it is that they're looking for. So that way they're not going through everything that you were seeing within this internal report to try and determine, okay, where does this fall under? What category am I looking for? How do I find it? And that was something that the communications team and I worked
So
on.
then when that comes in via the City Works,
Yes.
then the staff who receives it, they code it into one of these categories?
There's actually code written on the backside, so if you
Or whatever,
choose,
yeah.
correct,
Okay.
yes.
Okay, so then
Yes.
it automatically migrates to the proper category so that we can track it appropriately.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that answers my question. I just, and you mentioned that you added some categories. Can you give us just kind of some ideas of what categories we added?
Yeah, so one of them happened to be the corridor code enforcement. That was something that Mr. Scannell will speak on here in a few weeks to give you an update on that. That was one that we hadn't done previously that we wanted to make sure that we had implemented. There were a couple others that we wanted to, that were capturing a lot of different concerns that we wanted to separate, and that was through our community development area.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Our next presentation is the resident budget survey results. Mr. City Manager.
Madam Mayor and members of the council, as we continue to progress towards development of the budget that will be submitted to the council in May, one of the ways that we've tried to generate additional citizen participation and feedback is through an online survey. Given the important and critical role the council will play in voting on the budget, we wanted to provide you the feedback that we got from that budgetary survey for your benefit and understanding. So we'll go ahead and do that presentation now.
Madam Mayor, members of the council, Sam Morris with the City Manager's Office. Okay, our budget survey was released to our citizens in early December of 2021, and it closed January 15th of 22. We had 403 responses on this particular survey. It certainly wasn't one of our highest responding surveys. However, it does rank in probably one of the top 3 or 4. We were pleasantly surprised with the responses that we received. We asked the citizens 5 questions. Question 1 being, we gave them 4 options here to rank this year's budget priorities from most important to least important. And the one that came in at almost 60% was accurately budget for all known costs. The second option that we gave them was prepare appropriately for future spending based on conservative revenue estimates, address the adopted strategic priorities outlined in Independence for All and identify as part of the survey. And then the last one was the strategic use of one-time revenues to navigate economic uncertainties, and that came in at 9.7%. For question number 2, we gave them the 5 top priorities of 2021 that you guys determined within your council retreat that would be the top priorities that we would focus on. We gave those top 5 priorities to our citizens and asked them to rank them of most important to them from most to least. The first one, of course, being reduce crime and disorder at almost 60%, enhancing our public health, stabilizing and revitalizing our neighborhoods, being able to communicate more effectively both internally and externally, and at 7.2%, reducing blight. I understand this one is a little bit more difficult to read. Question 3 provided was select 3 items that you believe should receive the most emphasis over the next 24 months. And the first one being maintaining our streets and our bridges, our curbs and our sidewalks. The second most popular had been increase the number of police officers. And third was create a task force to increase services and outreach to our homeless community. And the bottom 3, I would say, that were that received the least amount of support was increased funding for capital improvement repairs to the city historic sites, add additional fire stations throughout the city, and fund a transit model to support commuter services to employment centers outside of the city. So as the city is looking forward to the future, the citizens stated that more investment in police services was extremely important to them. Paying for basic services like code enforcement, park maintenance, and street repairs was important to them. Looking at alternative service delivery models to improve efficiency of city services came in at somewhat important. And then investing in community mental health services, as well as the looking for alternative service delivery models, both of those came in with higher not important at all ratings. The 5th and last one was what other budget services haven't been addressed. So we allow the citizens to be able to provide us areas in which they feel as though we haven't addressed their concerns. A complete list of unredacted comments was added to this particular agenda. You guys can read through those. I will tell you that the most common responses was upgrading infrastructure when it came to the utilities. Police, it was, again, a reiteration of decreasing our crime and also increasing our officers. Codes, we had several individuals who stated that additional code enforcement was needed, additional abatements was needed, Demolition of dangerous buildings was a necessary function within our city and needed to be addressed. Health and Animal Services, we had several that came in that wanted additional food inspections, food inspectors within our city, looking at the different restaurants that we have, and additional staff to be able to pick up stray animals. Last but not least, the streets, debris cleanup, updating the road conditions, whether that be overlays, potholes, and then as well as snow removal, came in as a popular response to our streets. So those were the 5 questions that we asked of our citizens to rate of most importance to least importance. Do you have any questions?
Okay, thank you. Any comments or questions?
Mayor, I have
Yes.
a couple of questions. So on the survey sample, what was the size and how did we send that out?
Sure. So we put it out on all of our social media platforms. So we had it on Facebook, on Nextdoor, on our Instagram, and then we also had it within our city scene. So that's the newsletter that we mail out to individuals who have specifically requested it. And then, of course, throughout the entire process, we were reminding citizens that we wanted them to take this. This was the deadline. I'm just trying to get as many individuals as we could.
Was there or is there a mechanism to track to see what part of the city those responses came from?
I don't believe so,
Yeah,
but it would definitely be something that we
just interesting.
consider
Just,
in the future for future surveys.
403, I mean, that's a lot, but the sample size, I wish was a little bit bigger to have
Absolutely.
more drill down on that information.
Yep.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Our staff report this evening, boards and commissions, Madam City Clerk.
We have a few boards and commissions where we're looking for recommendation to make appointments. The first is Human Relations Commission. Recommendation's been made to appoint Lindsay Griffith and Aaron Kennedy. If there's no objections, we'll add a resolution to the next agenda.
Are there any objections? Okay, we will add those to the next agenda.
Next is the Jackson County Animal Welfare Committee. Recommendation's been made by Mayor Eileen Weird to appoint Karen Mell. If there's no objections, we'll add a resolution to the next agenda.
Are there any objections? Okay, we can add that to the next agenda as well. That concludes our report. Are there any other discussion topics?
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Could I make a motion to add a resolution for Monday to the mayor's brand committee to appoint Christine Twiddle
Okay.
to that board?
Okay, are there any objections to the recommendation for, I'm sorry, Christine Twiddle?
Correct.
Okay. For the Independence Brand Committee. Okay, we will add that. Mr. City Manager, anything else this evening?
Nothing tonight.
We are adjourned.